Hi guys, this is Shadow Prince, and I'm going to be sharing with you my DC Arbiter build. This is after the combat rework and going into the new mod Sharandar. And as you can see, this is our offensive stats when everything procs, fully buffed. You can see power is at 90%, accuracy at 60.8, combat advantage at 90%, critical strike 90%, and critical severity 90%. Now the uptime of these stats, they're not 100%, but you want to try to keep it up as much as possible. I am at 53,053 item level with 623,000 hit points. I dropped item level. My initial build was at 54,200 and something. I dropped some item level to accommodate some of the gear that I'm testing out. I am spec'd into, as you can see here, intelligence for the magical damage boost and charisma for forte, mostly not for the recharge speed, because we don't need recharge speed, because everything's dependent on your divinity. You could alternatively maybe even go with action points in Constitution, but I went with charisma. I am also a Gith for that extra 5% combat advantage bonus, racial bonus. Okay, so if we look at gear real quickly, what gear I'm using to obtain those stats, I am using the Blessed Guristro's Horn. This is with a critical strike modification, and I actually use all dark enchantments on my utilities for the forte. This headpiece gives you 1% critical strike, stacks up to 10%, 10 stacks, and it goes all the way up to 10%. This is of course when you damage or heal a target for 10% of your maximum hit points, you get 1 stack, and this will last for 10 seconds. An alternative to this would be the Sky Blazers. This gives you a static 7% combat advantage when you're facing one enemy, but I don't like to switch gear between boss fights and fighting mobs, so I just I built this DC around the Guristro's head, because if I can get my stats capped without changing gear, saves me a lot of trouble. Okay, so if we look at my chest piece, it's the Blessed Bone Devil's Ribcage. This is from the tier 3 hunt. Depending on your luck, this can be very expensive to trade for, or a long grind to build your own T3 hunt. Now what this does is this, when you damage or heal a target for more than 10% of your hit points, you get 2.5 critical strike and critical severity for 15 seconds, and this stacks up to 5 times, so you're getting 12.5% critical strike and critical severity. I think these two pieces very crucial in capping both crit strike and crit severity. As you can see, the modification here I have is critical strike. With a defensive slot, I'm using tacticals. All my defensive slots are tacticals. And here, as you can see, my armor enhancement is armor enchantment is a bark shield. Okay, so the arm piece, I'm using the Trapper of the Twilight Bracers. This is a recent change. I was previously using this one here, the Blessed Divine Raid Armlets. This gives me 250 power when I strike an enemy, and I lose a stack if I get struck, and this stacks up to 20 times. So this is how I gain my power. I would undercap power and then reach the cap by using this arm piece. Or even if you have this arm piece here, you could use it as well. It's very similar, same bonus, slightly different stats there, but initially but really you really want the power, but I changed it out to a Trapper of the Twilight Bracers because this gives my encounter powers 3% more damage, and I figure that if I could cap my power elsewhere, this would be a better option, but I do lose item level. Okay, so as you can see, for the modification here, critical strike and a dark enchantment for the utility. I'm using the Lionheart weapons. With the offensive slot, I have a Radiant and 1 Assassins with a Holy Vorpal enchantment in the weapon slot. For the offhand, I'm using a Assassin, and defense again tactical. If you look at the artifact modification, I'm using Forte, and I'm using Power. Why do I use Power? I use Power because I swapped out the arm piece. Previously, when I was using the Power arm piece, my enhancement, I switched to Critical Strike. So it really depends on which arm piece I'm using. I have to switch these two. Alright, so my boots, I am using the Blessed Greaves of the Light Guard. Again, this has the Critical Strike modification with Dark on the utility. What this gives me is 7,500 power when my health is greater than 85%, which is a majority of the time. For my artifacts, I am using 3 journals with the music box set. With the Envenom journal as my main. I did recently swap this out. I'm using a Darkened journal now because this gives me awareness and Forte, which I want. Previously, I was using a Frozen journal, which, you know, it doesn't really give me any of the stats that I want. Maybe 900 hit points, but that's just 900 hit points. So I swapped it out to a Darkened journal. I do have all the pages for all the journals, you know, which is useful. For my neck and waist and rings, I use Combat Advantage as the modification. On my utility here, you can see on my neck piece, I'm using a Dark and Azure on the offense. On the ring, I use a Gilding Ring of the Sharpshooter with 2 Assassins, like I said, with Combat Advantage modification. Now this gives me the Sniper's perk, which is your ranged attacks do 3% more damage. It is the same equip bonus as a Ebonized Raid Ring, which is my second ring. This is also giving me the Sniper's perk. They stack. The modification here is also Combat Advantage with 2 Assassins. This is also a recent change. I changed back to this ring because I wanted the Critical Strike and Combat Advantage for this particular build. But in my higher item level build, I actually use 2 Gilding Rings. As you can see, as I said, you know, I dropped item level. With the Urbanized Ring, my item level is at 53. I dropped about over 1,000 actually item level to, you know, from 54 to 53 to accommodate some of the older gear, like this arm piece here, this ring, and this shirt, which all they all give me damage bonus. The only one I'm not using is the Rusted Iron Legging. Because I didn't manage to fit that in this build, but maybe in the future, if I tweak it a little bit more, you know, I might be able to fit that in. Like I said, this is not my final build. This is not the definitive build by any means. This is what I have so far. I'm still doing a lot of testing. I'm not sure which is better, my previous build or even my current build. I did limited testing, and you know, I didn't really see a major difference between either, because when you go with higher item level, you know, you get more hit points, and you also get more base damage, but you don't get the bonuses that you know, some of this gear is going to give you, like, you know, the 3% here, and you know, the 3% from the shirt. There's a lot of testing that still needs to be done. Even if you look at runestones on companions, you don't know. I'm not entirely sure, you know, if I miss some of my stats capping, but if I use 6 Indomitables, would that be better? Is that more damage? I can't answer all that because it's still early days. Okay, so anyways, to go on, my belt, I am using a Dark on the utility, tactical on defense. As I said, I'm using the Ebony Stained Raid shirt. This is critical severity and combat advantage, and this equip bonus is when your stamina is over 75%, you gain 3% damage with an offense slot there. I'm using the Assassin's Enchantment. Now this shirt has various versions as well. There's 2. You see this one gives you critical strike and accuracy. This one gives you critical severity and combat advantage. I don't need the crit sev as it's already in the Arbiter's Forte, but I do need the combat advantage, so I went with this. The pants, I'm using the pants of the Hell's Negotiator. This gives me almost 2k defense. You know, the equip bonus is good too. It gives you action points. You know, when you crit with your powers, you have a 10% chance to get AP, so that's good. Defensive slot, I'm using a tactical. I kind of want to try and get the awareness pants so I can increase my awareness, because if you look at the defensive stats here, most of them are over 40, which helps survivability. Ideally, you want this to be between 40 to even 50. If you get it to, as high as possible to improve your survivability. I do fine with these stats here, slightly above 40%. Defense almost at 40. Awareness above, 40% there. But I did see a difference when I was playing on the Warlock, because the Warlock's forte includes awareness, and so without really doing anything, my awareness was at 50%, and went into Tomm with the Warlock, and survivability is a lot higher because of the high awareness. So you can see the difference. I initially, my first builds since the changes only had slightly above 30%, 34, 35% awareness defense, and going into Tomm, you can see a difference in survivability. Like, some of the bigger hits really hurt. So as you increase defense and awareness, it increases your survivability, and a lot of the hits don't hurt as much. Okay, so that done. Let's look at companions. If we look at companions, I currently have the Cold Iron Warrior summoned. Now, summon companions, I'm not sure which is the best, if I'm being honest here. Dire Wolf is pretty good. Quickling, which I have here because I have, I'm planning on a heal loadout, is also good. Zuna is also good. The Cold Iron Warrior is also good. Even the Batiri is viable still, in single target, battles because of its poison damage. But taking everything into consideration, I'm not going to tell somebody to upgrade what summon companion to upgrade, because things are still changing. I've spent a lot of tokens upgrading, on this tune alone. There are so many companions that I upgraded to test out, but do keep in mind things like the Quickling and the Cold Iron Warrior, from what I hear, is being stealth nerfed on PC. I think that has already happened, and that same nerf is coming to the PlayStation, from what I hear. So, not too sure what you should go with, but let's say we go with the Cold Iron Warrior for now as a summoned. If you look at the companion bonuses, my offensive slot here, I have the Black Dragon Ironstone for 7.5 critical chance, Alchemist Experimenter for critical chance and combat advantage. On defense, Phase Spider, again critical strike and combat advantage. On this first universal slot, I have the Wild Hunt Rider. This on 10% chance on encounter use to increase combat advantage by 11.25% for 10 seconds. Now, see, this is where it depends on luck. And when I said, the uptime is not 100%, because you have to proc this, and this proc on encounters. It does proc pretty often, but I do not see any other alternative, in terms of companions, to get that combat advantage to 90%. So a lot of people are using this Wild Hunt Rider. My last slot, universal slot, and I'm using a stalled off for another 7.5% combat advantage. Now, defensive slot, you can try putting on a Fire Archon. I do not like this on a DC. I upgraded it, I tested it, because it gives you 10% chance on at will to increase combat advantage by 10 seconds. By 7.5% for 10 seconds. I don't like it because we, our at wills are very far between each other, because we only at will to build divinity. So I don't like using it. I tested it on another class, tested it on a Warlock. It works better on a Warlock. I like it on the Warlock, but I don't think it's good on a DC, so I don't use it. Now, if we look at our companion gear, I'm using the blessed icon of the companion. This is combat advantage with 1 indomitable on the offensive slot, and recognite runestone on the awareness. On the defensive slot, 4 awareness. I also use a blessed grimoire of the companion, which is for crit strike, with 2 indomitables. So we have 3 indomitables in total here. I use 3. I'm not sure if using more will increase my damage. Yet to be tested. If I can get my stats right, I might change this one enigmatic in the offensive slot to another indomitable and see what happens. But then I have to rebalance my stats, so I'll do the testing maybe sometime this week and see what happens. So the last piece would be the awareness piece. Now, even though this is an awareness piece, right, it's the newer companion gear, but this is one offense, one defense. So you know, I put an enigmatic there, and on the defensive slot I put more awareness. Okay. For the enhancement, I am using acute senses, which gives me 7.5% combat advantage on companion hit. Okay, so that's covers the companions. We'll move on to boons. For the stronghold boon on utility, I'm using revive sickness. The defensive boon that I'm using is awareness, and I use power. We don't need crit. Crit severity is so easy to cap, so I went with power. If we look at campaigns, I went tier 1 power, crit strike, hit points. Tier 2 power, I skipped crit severity, went with defense, hit points, and a little bit of movement speed. Tier 3 I have power, combat advantage, awareness, hit points. Tier 4 accuracy, hit points. I'm missing a point here in hit points. When the new campaign comes out, if we're getting more boons, I'll probably get more hit points here. For tier 5, I'm using forte and action point, with the master boon being bloodlust. Okay, on to mounts. I'm using 4 collars. I'm using 4 mythic collars. I do not slot this one because if I add another mythic collar, that means my item level would raise by 1000, meaning all my stats in my rating have to go up by 1000. So I choose not to do that, just to get my balance stat more balanced. So I took off a collar. The collars I'm using is encounter powers 5%. Outgoing healing 5%. Now this is not helpful on a DPS, but I do intend to have a healer loadout, so might as well get this collar. Collars are expensive, so this is just here. I have it for the item level. 2, when I change loadouts, I can use the same collar. Critical severity by 5%. Okay, and incoming healing by 5%. This is actually quite useful. Now this one isn't. This one can be changed. You don't really want like encounter a cooldown one because our encounters are based off of divinity, so you don't want that one. But you could lose. I mean, I'm not fully buffed at the moment. Yeah, my potions ran out. So if I take potions, right? I take the crit potions, for example. These 2 potions, Wildstorm and superior flask of potency. So if you look at the crit, you know, rating wise, it's already overcapped. Severity without the ribcage proccing is at 85%. Now the ribcage gives you up to 12.5, so there's a lot of leeway here. If I lose that 5% from the collar, I can still make it up using the ribcage to get this at 90%. So I haven't done it yet because these collars are expensive, but I would like to change this, not to cooldowns, but possibly to AP gain, because then you get your daily faster. So I think that would be more useful, as crit severity is easy to cap. Okay, so I have 1 Assassin's Covenant on the King of Spines here with 1 Dominance, 2 Enlightened Insignia of Skill. Skill is really good this mod because it's crit strike and combat advantage. Power is not as useful, but I do use it for the power and forte. Dominance, I mean. So Assassin's Covenant, it changes, converts 1000 of your defense, deflect, critical avoidance, and awareness to 1000 accuracy, critical severity, critical strike, and combat advantage. So 1000 rating points is approximately 1% to your overall. So you lose 1% on your defensive stats, but you gain 1% to your offensive stats, which is helpful. My second one is Artificial Persuasion. There's nothing special here. This is on artifact use. You get your powers are reduced cooldown by 2 seconds, and I have 2 barb skills and 1 dominance in here. I do use 2 warlords inspirations because I have that summoned companion. So now I have 2 regals dominance and 1 enlightened skilled, and on my second one I have 2 regal aggression and 1 enlightened skilled. My final one is Barbarian's Revelry. This is on a critical strike, you receive a heal. That's 2% of your maximum hit points with a cooldown of 10 seconds. This is something new that I'm trying out. You could go with Gladiator's Guile if you want to be a little bit faster to avoid mechanics and whatnot, but this is something that I'm trying to try, because right now, because crit strike can go all the way up to 90%, so if you're critting 90% of the time, the heals might be useful. So this is what I'm testing. So I have a crescent skill and 2 enlightened skills attached here. I am using Tunnel Vision as combat power. This is interchangeable depending on what the group needs. You can go something more useful, for example, like your Rex, or even the Swarm, or even a Bullet. Yeah, I do have even the Griffin. That's not good. Another Rex. I'm pretty sure I have a Swarm somewhere, but yeah, Swarm is also useful. There it is. Interchangeable. Equip power is opportunistic. This is from the Toad, which is combat advantage. So that covers the mount. We've covered gear, we've covered companions, we've covered boons, and we've covered mounts. I think that pretty much covers everything to get your stats. In my previous video, people were asking for feats and whatnot, so I'm just going to show you my feats, what I use, so you can see the powers. These are the 2 at-wills you use for encounters: Prophecy of Doom, and then spam, Forge Hammer and Daunting Light to get your perfect balance. Daily, use Guardian of Faith primarily for DPS, with the class feature being Doomslayer and Divine Equilibrium. For the feats, Light Speed, Focus Light, Sudden Verdict, Burning Patch, and Perfect Balance. Pretty straightforward. If you've played an Arbiter, you already know the rotations. The powers and the feats hasn't really changed. Mostly just getting the stats, that has changed. Other than that, like I said, I'm still testing. As you can see, my inventory is a mess right now because I've been testing all this. I haven't even exchanged my radiance yet. I still have like 22 on this tune. I'm still testing a lot of stuff. Some of the companion gear, if you don't have, you could play around with it. Even like I've been playing around, like this is the awareness piece, right? I could actually swap this out and use the older piece. I can use the older piece, which is this piece here, the Chain Grimoire of the Companion. This is defense and awareness. But what you do is, you can put 2, what's it called? You can put 2 recognites to increase your awareness, so you get another 12,000 awareness from the 2 defensive slots here. And you do get a little bit of defense as well, because you get 758 defense, so that does help your defensive stats. I mean, here, see, both are above 40%. If you didn't have, some of the new companion gear, like what I'm using here, what I was using before, that enigmatic, I would lose that combat advantage. Maybe a little bit of tweaking needs, but there's some older gear that you could still use. Like I said, what I've been using, the arm piece here, change the rings, you can change to guild tested. I don't have a final build yet, but I'm sharing this with everybody in the hopes that this might help somebody. Somebody might need help trying to get the stats. So in trying to help those people, maybe this video will give them some ideas on on how to do their builds. If you guys have any recommendations on my build, how I could make it better, I'm open to suggestions. Like I said, this is not my final build. This may not even be the best build. I'm doing relatively well with it. It's very competitive in all the content that I run, but of course, I think it can be better. If you have better suggestions, do send me a PM. I mean, I'm happy to hear suggestions, and whatever can make this build better, I'll take it into consideration. So I'll end this video there. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned. I'm currently working on Warlock. Got most of the stats down already, but the only problem is I don't have enough boons on him. I only have 63 boons, but I did take him to a few Tomm completions yesterday. The Warlock did really well. Met better Warlocks, and they gave me tips and stuff like that, so that might come in the future. But I do believe the Warlock is slightly easier to build just because their forte is really good, including the defense one, which is they have awareness in their forte, so survivability is really good on a Warlock. The more you do, right? So like I said, we'll end this video there. Thank you very much, and see you again soon.